In Washington, D.C., the clock is ticking and the stakes couldn't be higher. The government is on the brink of a shutdown, a crisis that would disrupt the lives of millions. But what's causing this chaos? It all comes down to a single pivotal issue: funding for the Department of Homeland Security. After days of heated debate, the Senate has finally passed a $174 billion spending package. The clock is ticking, and Congress is scrambling to pass the remaining bills before the end of the month. But here's the catch: one of the most critical parts of this legislation, funding for the DHS, is still up in the air. Will Congress avoid the looming shutdown, or will partisan gridlock force us into another disaster? As the deadline looms, it's not just about the numbers, it's about what those numbers represent: a nation divided, a government at risk of failing its people. The pressure is mounting, and behind the scenes, powerful forces are working hard to push their agendas through. What's next for the future of U.S. politics? Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning. In the halls of Congress, the fight is heating up. On one side, we have Senate Republicans pushing to get the government funded and avert disaster. On the other, Senate Democrats are digging in their heels over one key issue: the funding for the Department of Homeland Security. It's not just about numbers or passing bills. It's about control. It's about power. And it's about people. People who are caught in the middle of this political tug-of-war. At the heart of the debate lies the powerful role of DHS, an agency that plays a central role in the U.S. government's operations, from national security to immigration enforcement. And right now, it's a flashpoint in American politics. Democrats are demanding strict restrictions on DHS funding, especially in the wake of controversial actions taken by the agency in states like Minnesota. As the deadline approaches, it's clear that this standoff isn't just about keeping the government open. It's about the future of U.S. immigration policy, the reach of law enforcement, and how much power one administration should have over the nation's security apparatus. The tension is rising, and the question is, will they compromise, or will this gridlock push the nation to the edge of another shutdown? To understand the current standoff, we must first look back. History has a way of repeating itself, especially when it comes to government shutdowns. In 2018, Congress found itself at an impasse, resulting in the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, 43 days. The political landscape was divided, much like it is today. The issue back then was also about funding, specifically funding for border security and the construction of a wall. The fallout was massive. Government workers went without pay, national parks were left unmanaged, and critical services were suspended. Now we're facing a similar situation. Another shutdown looms on the horizon, but this time the debate centers around the Department of Homeland Security and its controversial role in immigration enforcement. The stakes are higher, the divide deeper. The question is, will Congress learn from the past? Or will history repeat itself, leaving the government once again paralyzed by partisan gridlock? Just days before the shutdown deadline, the first mini-crisis has already erupted. Congressional Democrats are making their stand, demanding major restrictions on funding for the Department of Homeland Security, particularly for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, IC. The reason? The recent fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good by an IC agent in Colorado. This tragic incident has ignited outrage across the country, and now lawmakers are demanding accountability. But the question remains, how far will they go? In the Senate, GOP leaders are pushing to pass a clean DHS funding bill. But Democrats have made it clear they won't support a bill that doesn't address the growing concerns about ICE's actions. They are determined to use this moment to draw a line in the sand, but the road to compromise seems narrow. Time is running out, and with each passing day, the pressure on both parties intensifies. What happens next could determine whether this crisis ends with a resolution or if it spirals into another government shutdown. Behind all the headlines and political drama lies a deeper, more complex issue: the underlying mechanisms that keep this system ticking. The standoff over DHS funding isn't just about one department, it's about the larger system of government funding and control. The federal budget, in its intricate web of legislation, is a reflection of priorities. Every dollar allocated is a vote, not just on a program, but on the direction of the country. And DHS, with its sweeping authority over immigration, national security, and law enforcement, represents one of the most powerful and controversial areas of government policy. But here's the kicker. These budget battles aren't just about who gets what funding. They're a way for political forces to assert control over policy. For Democrats, it's about pushing back against what they see as an authoritarian overreach by ICE and the Trump administration. For Republicans, it's about maintaining national security priorities and enforcing tough immigration laws. The fight isn't just over funding, it's about control over the very direction of U.S. policy and ultimately the future of the country itself. As we inch closer to the January 30th deadline, the pressure mounts. The government is on the brink, and another mini-crisis looms. The stakes have never been higher. With the DHS funding still unresolved, both parties are scrambling for a solution. Republicans are pushing for a quick resolution, hoping to avoid another disastrous shutdown. Democrats, however, are determined to extract concessions from the Trump administration. They won't back down without some guarantee that their concerns will be addressed. The danger now is clear. If Congress can't come to an agreement in time, the government will shut down once again, and the consequences would be devastating. Federal workers, already weary from the fallout of the previous shutdown, could find themselves furloughed once again. Services critical to millions of Americans would come to a halt. And so the clock ticks. With each passing hour, the chances of a resolution grow slimmer. Will the two parties find common ground, or will the United States find itself staring down the barrel of another shutdown disaster? While the political drama plays out in the Senate and the House, there's something that's often lost in the noise: the real people who will be affected if a shutdown occurs. Federal workers, law enforcement officers, Border Patrol agents, they're the ones who face the consequences of a deadlocked Congress. Imagine this: you're a federal worker depending on your paycheck to feed your family. But with the government shut down, your income stops. You're left in limbo, uncertain when or if you'll be paid again. The stress, the worry, it's a reality that millions have faced before. Now add to that the tensions surrounding ICE, DHS, and immigration policies. The controversy over enforcement actions like the tragic shooting in Colorado amplifies the fear and division. The people affected by these policies are not just numbers in a report. They're families, communities, individuals who feel the weight of every decision made in Washington. It's easy to forget that behind every political debate there are lives on the line. The choices made by Congress today will shape the lives of millions tomorrow. While the political showdown plays out in Washington, the consequences stretch far beyond U.S. borders. A government shutdown doesn't just impact domestic policies, it sends shockwaves through global markets and international relations. Consider this: foreign governments watch closely as the U.S. government teeters on the edge of dysfunction. For allies, it's unsettling. For adversaries, it's an opportunity. A shutdown can cause instability in global markets, disrupt international trade, and create uncertainty in diplomatic relationships. Moreover, the U.S. plays a key role in international security, and a shutdown could weaken the country's position in global negotiations, military operations, and foreign aid commitments. As the world's largest economy, any disruption in U.S. operations has a ripple effect, affecting both developed and developing nations. As Congress debates funding for DHS, it's clear the stakes go beyond partisan politics. The future of U.S. global leadership could be at risk. As we look ahead, there are three possible paths Congress could take, each with its own set of consequences. Scenario 1. The best case: compromise and stability. In the best case scenario, both parties come to the table, resolve their differences, and pass a funding package that addresses both immigration concerns and national security. The government stays open, and lawmakers can focus on other pressing issues. This would signal to the world that the U.S. is still capable of functioning, even amidst intense political polarization. Scenario 2, the middle road, a short-term fix. Another possibility is a temporary extension, a continuing resolution, CR, that buys time but doesn't resolve the underlying issues. The government remains open, but the long-term instability persists. This short-term fix could delay the inevitable, but it won't provide the certainty needed for government agencies, federal workers, or the American public. Scenario 3, the worst case, a government shutdown. In the worst case scenario, the gridlock continues and the government shuts down. This would lead to another 43-day shutdown like the one we saw in 2018. Federal workers would once again go without pay. Services would be suspended, and the political fallout would be catastrophic. The damage to public trust in government would be severe, and the impact on everyday Americans would be felt for months, if not longer. So which future do we face? Only time will tell. But with each passing day, the chances of a shutdown grow stronger. As we stand at this critical juncture, one thing is clear: the decisions made in Washington will shape the future of the United States for years to come. The battle over funding isn't just about numbers, it's a test of the nation's ability to govern effectively, to put aside political differences for the greater good. The question isn't just whether Congress can avoid a shutdown, it's whether they can find a path forward that restores faith in the system and addresses the needs of the American people. Time is running out and the stakes are higher than ever. As we approach the final moments before the January 30th deadline, one thing remains certain: the outcome of this crisis will reverberate far beyond the Capitol. It will affect millions of lives, alter the political landscape, and send a message to the world about the state of American democracy. Will Congress rise to the challenge, or will they fail when it matters most? This is more than just a political battle, it's a defining moment in history.